Hi, it's me, Dr. Nasar Ali from YPS, the Young Professional Society, and welcome to another podcast. This is the second in a series of podcasts that we will be producing on a weekly basis. And if you remember, last week we did a podcast on the importance of having a vision for a leader. So in leadership, it's very important that you have a vision, and not just a small vision, but a big vision. You got to think big. And you can find these podcasts and all our other videos and our webinars on our Young Professional Society YouTube channel. So if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so, because you'll find a lot of material, a lot of videos which will add value to your lives. And please do share the videos, comment on it, so that more people can benefit from the content of our videos. So in this podcast today, we will be continue to talk about leadership, and we have with us Professor Waqar Ahmed, who is the president of Young Professional Society and also a professor of nanoscience at the University of Lincoln. Professor Ahmed, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Nasser, for inviting me to your home for this special podcast. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, to extend our discussion on leadership, now if you read the books on leadership, and you surf the pages on website, on the internet, you find many definitions of leadership. What would you say? What is the definition that you think best suits leaders and leadership?
So a leader in any organization or any system is a person who's got significant influence over something. So for example, if you want to be the best basketball player in the world, the leader in that situation would be your coach, for example. And so you've got a particular goal that you want to be the best basketball player in the world, and the coach is influencing you how you can actually achieve that goal. And basically through the knowledge and experience that the coach has got, he can give advice to the elite athlete, also find some, wherever there's any unconscious mistakes that are being made, and they can influence that person to perform a lot better. Similarly, in organizations, a leader is somebody who can influence people, and the more more people that you can influence, the better leader you're going to be. So I would say that leadership is about influence people to achieve their goals, their own personal goals, and also the goals of the organization.
Absolutely. So leadership is more about influencing people.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you say is the core principle of leadership?
So I think the core principle of leadership is that you have to add value to people's lives, or whatever situation you're in. So you can add values in many different ways. You can add values to products, and maybe you can add value to product design. So if you're working in a manufacturing company, then maybe you can contribute to making the product better. Maybe you can design the product to be better, or you can influence people on the manufacturing lines to become more efficient. So you can make the products better by adding your ideas, your thoughts, and your experiences to that. So I would say there's many ways of adding values to people's lives.
Okay, so what about products and things like this, but what about changing people's lives, adding value to people's lives?
So you can change people's lives in many. Obviously, people are not single-dimensional individuals; they're multi-dimensional individuals. They don't have one need; they have many different needs. And of course, we've got need for entertainment. So if you have athletes that perform at the elite level, they're enhancing our lives by performing at that level, and that competition gives us joy and happiness. And because they give us that joy and happiness, we're willing to pay our money to go and watch the matches, or to watch them on TV. And in that case, what they're doing is they're making our lives happier and making our lives better. And the more people that they can enhance lives, the more valuable that individual person is. So it can be a sports person that can add value. For example, it could be a franchise that's adding value. So if you've got Domino's, you sat at home, you want to watch a movie. It's now it's really easy to pick the phone up on an app, order a Domino's pizza. It gets delivered within so many minutes, and you can have a nice pizza while you're watching a movie. So they've added some value to your life. In fact, that value you're willing to pay for that value.
So could you give some examples of some leaders who've actually done some work where they've added value to other people's lives?
So obviously there are anybody who is in the public eye now at the moment, you'll see that they've got some leadership abilities because they've influenced things. So you've got all the franchises like KFC, you've got McDonald's. So they're all adding value in terms of the food stuff. So you've got the sports team, they're adding value in terms of entertainment and competition. I'll just give you an example from my own life here, for example, when I was younger, after my PhD, I went to work in industry. And when I was working in industry, I got made redundant from one of my roles. And then I started applying for university positions all over the place. And every time I applied for a lectureship, I got rejected and rejected and rejected, maybe dozens and dozens of rejections. So my profile was good, but then I decided that this is what I want to do. I want to work in a university, and I decided to go into university every single day, and I wasn't getting paid for it or anything, but I went in there and my intention was, what can I contribute to this research group, what can I do? So I'd go in every day and I'll talk to the professor and say, oh, maybe you should do research in this area, maybe you can write a research proposal in this area, maybe you can write a research paper in this area. And by going into the university every day and adding value and also seeing students and trying to enhance their lives, after doing that for a couple of months, the professor felt really, really guilty that I was going in every day and I wasn't getting paid. So then he said to me, oh, I've got a small slush fund, and maybe I can pay you some money for the contribution that you're making. So he started off paying me a little bit of money for my contribution, and because then now I'd gained some experience working in the university as well, when I applied for proper jobs again, I could add that experience to that, and by going and adding value to it, I gained a lot more value later on in terms of my career in academia. So that's where one example where just by being proactive, going in there, trying to add as much value as you can enhance people's lives, and if you enhance people's lives, your own life will also be enhanced.
Then you have other people as well, like Bill Gates, and can you talk a bit about how he was able to add value to others?
So Bill Gates had a big vision, like we discussed last week, of having a computer on every desk in every home, and he knew that the computers would actually change the way in which people work, and he had that vision, and he added value by creating software that all the computers in the world use, such as Word and Excel, and you know all about all these PowerPoint, all these famous programs. So by making people's lives a lot easier through the use of a computer, he was adding a lot of value to the workplace. And by adding a lot of value to the workplace, obviously his own influence got bigger and bigger and bigger, and his wealth also, grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more value is added, the richer he became. Then obviously he became the richest man in the world for many, many years by adding a massive amount of value to people's lives all over the world.
And then you have other examples like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Abdul Sadar Idi, people from Pakistan. So they've done a lot of service and added a lot of value to the people. Now, before you can actually add value to others, you've got to understand and know what they value.
Yeah. So basically, you can only contribute to anybody if you've got something within yourself to contribute. So that value might be some knowledge that you've gained through education, or it might be some special way of doing things. So you can add more and more value. You can become more and more valuable if you keep growing as an individual or keep growing as a person. So in the case of Abdul Star Eidi, he just wanted to help poor people, who were ill, and he started off very, very small and used his money to purchase small things, little meals to the poor people, and gradually he accumulated enough money to buy ambulances. So wherever there was an accident, he'd go and he'd take people to the hospital. And by thinking how he can add value, he became more and more valuable. And now obviously everybody in Pakistan remembers him as somebody who did an enormous amount of good for society without really any kind of intention for a personal gain. So there are many different ways of adding value, and in many different situations in which you can add value. So I think the more value you can add to more people, the more valuable you are as an individual, and the greater the leader you are.
So people like Mother Teresa and Desmond Tutu and Martin Luther King, they actually got the Nobel Peace Prize as well. But if you were to ask them, what was it? Did they do all this because of getting a Peace Prize? They probably would say no. What's more important is how they actually add value to people, how they were able to serve people. So aspiring young leaders who want to become leaders in their own field. So from our conversation today, it's important that you realize that leadership is about influence. So it's important that you become good at influencing people, and secondly, to actually add value to other people's lives. So what final advice would you give to youngsters, aspiring leaders, about adding value?
So what I would do is I would look at your own situation wherever you are, and if you wake up in the morning, you think, okay, these are the people I'm going to interact with today, or I'm going to be in a work situation, and this is the situation I'm going to be in. So what I would do is I would sit down and I would write down all the different ways and all the different ideas that you have to add a small bit of value to every situation in your workplace, at your home, in schools. So once you got your list of ideas, you think, well, how can I apply that? And it doesn't have to be something massive. Maybe you can give somebody an idea to make their life better, or maybe you can give somebody a piece of advice, or maybe you can smile at a person so that their days goes much easier. So think of all the ideas that you can think of, write them all down, and try to implement them throughout the day. As you try to implement throughout the day, you'll have more and more ideas, and you'll be able to add more and more value. The main thing is to have this sincere intention to make things better, to make people's lives better, and just start small, and gradually you'll develop and you'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So value is about ideas, it's about time, it's about service, it's about knowledge, it's a little bit of a helping hand. So it's a bit of a habit of thinking about how can I add value, how can I contribute, what can I do, how can I help. And by thinking like that, you will come up with ideas to add value, and then the more value that you add, the richer your life will become in terms of finances, in terms of happiness, in terms of everything else that you want to do with your life.
Thank you very much, Professor Ahmed, for your valuable advice and suggestions, and thank you very much for watching this podcast. And if you like what we've discussed, and if you enjoyed listening to the podcast today, then please do subscribe to the Young Professional Society YouTube channel, and we'll be bringing these podcasts to you on a weekly basis on different aspects of leadership. So once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you for the next podcast.